So I'm reading all this information about how Solo, a Star Wars movie, has been doing bad at the box office, had a bad opening weekend. Disney's losing stock because people don't have faith in Star Wars anymore because Episode 8 has a lot of bad fan backlash and Solo has fan backlash. Well, Solo, people didn't even go watch the movie. They just decided they didn't want to watch the movie. That's why it's not making money. 'Cause people don't want to go watch Solo. The thing is that Star Wars is for nerds. It's not really like it. Yes, it is for the general audience, but and that's where episodes 7, 8, and 9 come in. But when you want to milk it dry and throw out all these side stories, uh, they're not going to do well. They're not going to do nearly as well. And something you have to remember about Solo is that it had a previous director and they bailed on it halfway through. Really, Disney fired them because they were being weird. They were doing scripts they didn't like, and they were, I don't know, there was a lot of problems, a lot of money problems involved with it too. And they got Ron Howard to do it and be a part of it. And I don't know how much of it was who did what, and either way, at the end of the day, I saw the finished product. I saw it yesterday. So I'm pretty fresh from seeing this movie, but I had all day to think about it, and I did think about it a lot because it is very different as a Star Wars movie. And for me, if you guys really want to know another great opinion, watch the Red Letter Media review of it because normally they hated episode 8, so I thought they were going to rip this one apart, but I kind of felt like I liked it a little bit more than them, but they kind of there's a really good explanation that this movie is the Star Wars movie that a lot of us have been wanting. For me, when I think about Rogue One, I hate that movie. That movie sucks, and people actually liked that one, and then turned around and started hating on Episode 8, and I was like, oh my god, like Rogue One has no personality, no character. It's just terrible. And then I watched Solo. Here's the thing about Solo. Am I are you gonna be mad at me because I like the movie despite the fact that the Kessel Run is in it? Are you gonna be mad at me because they make meta humor jokes about Han Solo that are meta humor that only the fans will get? Like, are you gonna be mad at me that Han meets Chewbacca in this for the first time and then meets Lando for the first time, and it's like, oh wow, it was fine. Like, it's a fine movie. Like, I already knew there was gonna be groaner moments, and there are some groaners. There's some groaning, but it's very quick, and it's after a pretty good opening scene that I enjoyed. And one thing that I've always wanted in Star Wars movies, I wanted a Star Wars movie where Anakin Skywalker was this dirty kid from the city, and Obi-Wan met him in this dirty city, and Anakin was like a scrappy fighter pilot who, Obi-Wan could sense the Force in. And this movie starts out with a dirty city, and Han Solo is this scrappy kid who just grew up in the city doing like dirt jobs. He's a fucking rat, and he tries to get out of there. And it's like this movie has no Jedi. It has no fucking Jedi. Okay, not even Darth Vader. No one. Do they fight the Empire? They fight the Empire, but not like how in Rogue One. When they fight the Empire in Solo, they're it's because the Empire's the law. It's they only fight the Empire when they're running from the cops because the Empire's the cops. For most of the movie, they don't really fight the Empire. The Empire's a part of the universe. But if you watch this movie as a sci-fi movie, you would just be like, "Oh, the sci-fi police. Oh, the sci-fi military." You wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's Darth Vader's army. That's the fucking Empire." You don't really think that when you watch this movie because it's just like they're just a product of being in this universe, and Han Solo's a part of this universe. He's on an Empire-owned planet. So it's like it's really cool how it's like the Empire's nonchalantly in there. There's no Rebel Alliance yet because Rebel Alliance didn't exist when Han Solo was like that young. They do show off a love interest, and it's done in a way that uh, I I thought I wasn't going to like, but it's not nearly as cheesy and bad as I was hoping it would be. And the thing is that it's hard to talk about this without spoiling things, but I'm going to try not to spoil as much as all because I know a lot of people watching this video either they already liked it, they already watched it and liked it, and were willing to give it a chance, and then the other people were like, "Oh, I'm not gonna watch this stupid movie. It's a stupid spinoff." Okay, the second this movie was announced, guys, the second this movie was announced, I groaned so hard. Okay, I get it. If you're still groaning, I get it. Okay, but I got over that already. I'm already over the groaning. Okay, Han Solo is an important character in Star Wars. He is 10 times more important now that Kylo Ren exists. And I'm not saying because Kylo's that cool. I'm saying because he is the father of the next big threat. He is the father of the next enemy to the Jedi. And it's important to know his story and where he comes from. And so it's like, does this movie need to exist? Not really. It doesn't really need to exist at all. But should it exist? Does it earn its right to still exist? Uh, well, think about it like this. If you like the Star Wars Clone Wars show, you will probably like this movie. Because it's very similar. It's stories that no one asked for, but are kind of interesting. It's like, oh, do you want to hear? You want to see what Yoda used to do? No, and then you watch some of the Clone Wars. You're like, oh well, this Yoda reminds me more of Yoda from Empire. It's not like the Yoda from Episode 2. The Yoda in Clone Wars reminds me of the Yoda from Empire, but it's like still before Episode 4. So it's kind of interesting to see like Yoda, how Yoda would interact in this situation, and it's like, oh well, I actually like that. Or in Clone Wars when they show Anakin, being tempted by the dark side, and instead of being like tricked into the dark side because the Jedi turned out to be a bunch of frauds, Anakin turns to the dark side because he actually is just enjoying his power, and he's getting angry, and people are hurting him, and so he hurts them back. And it's like, wow, that's fucked up in a way. Like the Jedi should not be doing that, but here's Anakin doing it, and you can tell Anakin wants to be a good Jedi, but he also doesn't want to take shit. And these are two things that conflict with each other. And I'm like, this version of Anakin I like. This is the version of Anakin I'm talking about. I wanted to see Anakin be this like, this no bullshit kind of guy. And in Clone Wars when I was watching it, it's like, wow, this is like interesting. Like, yeah, I don't need to know the stuff. It doesn't complete the story at all. But because it's a TV show, it's kind of interesting. The Star Wars prequels are in your face saying, this is what you need to know. This literally like sets up the entire everything. And now, because there's more Star Wars prequels, there's two more prequels, Rogue One and Solo, that we can look at the prequel trilogy and we can say, yeah, they're interesting, but they're not, they don't matter. Like, you can just watch the originals and then 7, 8, and 9. Those are the only ones that matter now. So it's like, it's really funny that like they really delegitimize the prequels in a lot of ways, but they also take the prequels and then make their own new side stories and combine them into this huge expanded cinematic universe. And so when Marvel's doing their thing and everyone's trying to copy off of what Marvel's doing with this expanded universe thing, here's Star Wars going, let's put prequel characters in Rogue One. Now let's put some more prequel characters in Solo. And then let's announce that Boba Fett has a director now. The Boba Fett movie has a director. It's the same director as Logan, which I love that movie. So if anyone can do a Boba Fett movie, I might actually be more excited about that. I haven't been excited about these Star Wars stories since I never have been. I was kind of thinking, oh, I'll give Rogue One a chance, because at least Rogue One has no characters I know, and they can't fuck it up. And like, if they fuck it up, I won't care, because it's not ruining the franchise. And Solo, I was like, oh, that one's gonna fuck up the franchise, so that pisses me off. And then when I watched Rogue One, it didn't fuck up the franchise, but it was bad, and I didn't like it. And it's the first Star Wars movie I'd watched where I was like, that was really bad. And it was right after Episode 7. And I was so hyped after Episode 7. I really enjoyed that. I had to watch episode 8 to kind of remind me of like where I was, but even episode 8 wasn't that perfect. And Solo, while it is not a perfect movie, while it has some groaners, it's fun, it's dumb, it's Star Wars. And a lot of people sit through dumb movies and still enjoy them, and I don't know how. Okay, because I see people watch dumb movies and say, "No, I still enjoyed it for what it was," and I'm like, there's certain things where the plot is so bad. There's certain things where they do something that makes no sense that I just can't get. I just can't get over it. Like, I mean, I could go on for a lot of examples, but I'm not going to. I mean, obviously the most obvious one's Transformers. But I even watched the first Ninja Turtles CGI Nickelodeon Michael Bay fiasco movie, and I was groaning. And then once we got past Megan Fox and got to the Turtles, I was like, I actually kind of enjoyed, you know, this movie, just not the first 30 minutes of the movie, but everything after that, I kind of enjoyed it. So then I was excited to see Turtles 2, Out of the Shadows, because there was going to be more Turtles and less Megan Fox. And then I realized, like, I hated it. I fucking hated it. And I remember watching it. I went with my mom because growing up, she knew that we all liked Ninja Turtles. We'd play the Ninja Turtles game on NES, and there's Ninja Turtle toys all over the house because I have two brothers and no sisters, and so she knows everything about the Turtles that I know. She's seen the old movies, so I took her to see the sequel, and when Megan Fox took off her clothes in public and put on a schoolgirl uniform, I was like so embarrassed that I took my mom to see this, and I was like, I can't believe this is in this fucking movie. And then the execution of the villains and the clusterfuck of the action, I couldn't even pretend for a second, let her think like she sat through that for me. And I'm like, I just want you to know, I didn't enjoy that either. You're not crazy. Like, I didn't enjoy that either. That was terrible. And the first Turtles movie was great. Not great, but I enjoyed it. I knew it was a flawed movie, but I enjoyed it. And I couldn't do that for Turtles Out of the Shadows. So I heard someone say, you know what? Should I even name drop this motherfucker? It's someone I like on YouTube. It's someone I like on YouTube. He's a kind of a popular personality. Not many of my friends know him, but he's got the subscriber numbers. He said that Solo is the Suicide Squad for the Star Wars franchise. And I gotta call bullshit on that. Because Suicide Squad is a movie I don't know how anyone enjoys. I really don't know how anyone enjoys that movie. It is so fucking bad. The pacing is terrible. The characters are terrible. People literally like that movie because Harley Quinn is in it. And then some people who have really shitty taste actually like the Joker. But the Joker in that movie is terrible. Everyone is terrible. The reasons why Harley Quinn's on the team, I don't believe it. And, it's like when I go back and think about some movies, I really think about them. And I'm like, I kind of like what they did there. With Solo, I can think about that movie and think about a lot of stuff they did and say that was kind of a smart decision. I like that. I like the opening chase scene. I always thought episode 1 has a shitty pod racing scene that sucks dick and I hate it. And I just wish that someone, instead, Anakin wouldn't have been a little kid. Instead, he would have been like a young adult in a shitty city. And Obi-Wan had to rely on Anakin to chase him around or to get in a car while they're being chased. And they could have done an interesting chase scene. And it would have been, they could have used the same vehicles as the pod racers. They could have used the pod racers and just called them jump cars or whatever, and it would have been fine. But they didn't do that. They did a pod racing scene with a little boy. It's fucking stupid. And this movie has a very young male version of Han in the... I already said it, but it's like, he's in the Dirty City. He's doing a car chase scene. It's fucking cool. It's like, it's so much more exciting. And I've heard a lot of people say that this movie starts out slow and gets better once Lando enters the scene. This movie is not slow at all, in my opinion. In fact, I'd say the movie gets slow right around when they do the Kessel Run. Because making the Kessel... They try to make the Kessel Run interesting, and honestly, you can't make the Kessel Run interesting. It's stupid to try to make it interesting. The whole point of the Kessel Run is just to say the Millennium Falcon can do this really fast. And also, the whole thing in Star Wars is that they say throwaway lines that don't matter. That's just part of it. It's not like we need to know what the Kessel Run is. Most people don't even know what the Kessel Run is. Only hardcore people actually like know what the fuck that is, and it involves like salt mines, and it's like a trade route that smugglers take, and Han Solo's a smuggler. So all these things make sense, right? So Han Solo, uh, he flies to Kessel Run in this movie. It's part of the big heist. The trailers kind of already spoiled that. Um, and they try to make it exciting. It's probably the most boring part of the movie. They kind of fuck it up by trying to make it as exciting as they could. Kind of fucked up the Kessel Run because now I'm doubting the legitimacy of if Han Solo actually made the Kessel Run at that speed with the Millennium Falcon. It seems like he cheated a little bit. In fact, it seems like he cheated in two different major ways that I don't want to spoil here. But basically, the Kessel Run part sucks. It sucks. That part sucks. But if you want me to admit that I don't like the chemistry between the actors for Han and Lando, I like the chemistry there. Emilia Clarke, she's basically just Emilia Clarke, and in this movie, did I believe the relationship? I kind of did. It seemed weird for Han Solo, but so the same guy who said Solo is the Suicide Squad of Star Wars, he also made this really bad comparison of Han Solo in this movie is acting like Han Solo after Episode 6, where he learned his lesson. And in this movie, there's no character growth, basically meaning Han Solo never learned a lesson ever. And I hate to break it to that guy, but Han Solo actually didn't ever learn a lesson. If you think Han Solo was actually that one-dimensional and cold-hearted, in every movie where he like didn't trust anyone, didn't want to be friends with anyone, in Episode 4 when he comes back for Luke, it's because he actually did like those people. That's kind of the thing you learn in 4. It's not that Han Solo learned a lesson. It's that what we learned, what Luke learned, and what everyone learned, is that like just because someone's like cold and rough doesn't mean they won't do the right thing. Especially if you're a good influence on them. And the thing is about Han Solo, oh man, this goes so deep into human psychology, and that's why I can think about this movie and I can say I really enjoy it. But Han Solo, he doesn't trust anyone, but he does trust someone. He has a co-pilot. Do you guys not realize he has a co-pilot named fucking Chewbacca? You guys don't remember fucking Chewbacca? He has a co-pilot. He's not this cold fucker who has no feelings. That's never been Han Solo. The thing is, though, is that Han Solo lives on Tatooine. There's a bounty on his head by Jabba the fucking Hutt. Greedo is trying to kill him in the beginning of 4. And then in 5, he's still being hunted down by goddamn Jabba. His life sucks. He's in a shitty position. And what this movie teaches him is he can't trust anyone. And if that's not character growth, of course it's character growth, because he's trusting people in this movie, and he gets betrayed. He gets betrayed. So that's the lesson he's learning in this movie. Is you're not supposed to, is but the thing is, he does trust people. He wants to trust people, but the world's a cold and dark place, and Han Solo's from a grimy, dirty place. And when he meets Luke, that's when he can start opening up a little bit more, and that's when he can, learn to trust again. And that's what this movie goes over. And so if you miss that, maybe that's not as relatable of a story, because the story really relies on you knowing the other movies. But why the fuck would you watch this movie if you haven't watched at least Episode 4? At least Episode 4. If you watch this movie before Episode 4, it better be because you're watching these all chronologically, and you just want to watch the whole thing chronologically, and instead of reviewing every movie as an individual movie, you're going to review the entire thing and how they lead to each other. Because otherwise, you should never watch this movie just by itself. It's not made for that. It's made for Star Wars nerds, specifically nerds who like the Clone Wars. And this is like the Star Wars expanded universe that might be awesome, especially because there is a teased villain. There is someone at the end of the movie who is going to appear in other movies. I don't know if he actually is, but There's a character in this movie that it makes it really seem like he's going to appear in another movie down the line. And a lot of people are suspecting that character will appear in Boba Fett, and might appear in Boba Fett more often than he did in this one. And that's exciting. Also, I want to say one more thing. The villain in this movie is played by Vision from the Infinity War and the Avengers movies. And seeing him, that actor, play as a villain, using his like voice with a more sinister tone and acting kind of crazy, it's fucking cool, man. And that's the other thing about this movie. They get away from the Empire and the conflict. They still are allowed to have a major conflict, and the major conflict is with the crime syndicate because Han Solo's a fucking smuggler. There's so many good ideas in this movie that I've wanted to see in a fucking Star Wars movie, and they're all in this Solo movie. And I know some people might say like, "Oh, they're ruining Han Solo." Shut the fuck up. It's the same crybabies who cried about them ruining Luke Skywalker. Get the fuck out of your damn head canon and enjoy the movie that's being presented to you. Okay? The reason why I don't like the prequel trilogy is because Yoda is such. I really like Yoda in episode 5. The things he said, the words of wisdom. I can show that to my friends when they're like sad and crying, and I can show them Yoda talking about what actually matters in life, and they'll kind of like remember what they're doing here right now. Like, those are powerful words that I appreciate, that I enjoy, and like they speak to me. They spoke to me when I was a kid, they still speak to me now. And when I see this character acting like a moron, and I don't like it. When I see Yoda in the new movies, I don't like it because he's acting like a doof. And something that I really wanted to see was I just wanted to see Han Solo, Lando, and Chewbacca not being doofs, and instead Han Solo and Chewbacca's relationship, they're not best fucking lovers right off the bat, but they're also they don't have super hardcore growing pains. They're just kind of like two dudes who are like, I guess we're in this together right now, and a lot of times Chewbacca's like, I'm going over here, and Han's like, do whatever you want, dude. I don't give a shit. And the thing is, you want to know why Chewbacca sticks around with them. They never explicitly say it in the whole movie, but if you really think about it, you could kind of take it in as like, well, Chewbacca sticks around Han Solo because Han Solo respects him, you know? And there's a mutual respect there where Chewbacca's like, this guy's cool. I like this guy. And Han Solo's like, yeah, man, do what you want to do. I don't care. And there's other moments. There's another moment when they are actually on the planet of Kessel where Chewbacca wants to deviate from the plan, and Han Solo's like, all right, screw it. I tried to tell you not to do it, but go ahead and do it. And then later on, Han Solo comes back for him. You know, it's like, it's in the way I said it, it doesn't even do it that justice. Really, Han Solo just kind of runs back into them, so they meet up again. Like, he doesn't. It's not this heartfelt moment. You know, it's just like the great moment is when Chewbacca actually has a choice to leave or to stay, and it's really like no one's telling Chewbacca to do it. It's in the middle of this huge firefight. He thinks about like just he looks at one direction and looks back, and then he chooses to go back with his friends, and it's done in a really, really nice way. And it's like the relationship between Han and Chewbacca is amazing. But let's talk about what everyone wants to hear about, which is the relationship between Han and Lando, because Lando is played by Donald Glover. Now, the thing about Donald Glover's Lando in this movie is that he's very much doing this impersonation of Lando from episode 5. He talks like Lando, and he acts like Lando. It worked for me, because every time he talked, I would be like, this guy seems like a cartoon character, and I think about the real Lando, and I'm like, oh, Lando is a cartoon character. But then there's times we see Lando in more stressful situations, and you see this other side to Lando that is still comedic and fun and enjoyable. And it's kind of like, what would Lando be like in this situation? What would Lando from episode 5 be like in a situation that this stressful and not going his way at all? I kind of liked it. I kind of liked what they did. There is a character that A lot of people have been talking about in a negative way. See, in Rogue One, there was a robot character that everyone really loved. And in Solo, they put a robot character in this one. And in the trailers, I already knew I wasn't going to like this character. This character seemed to embody everything I hate about modern Marvel comics, everything I hate about just like social justice warrior shit. And people, it's a social justice warrior robot, and it's not that I hate politics in my film. In fact, if you asked me, if someone told me to write down like the political messages in the original Star Wars, I would make the most social justice warrior bullshit thing ever that people would call me a social justice warrior over. I would make it because I would be like, this is what this means, is what that means, and it's very anti-conservative and blah blah blah. I would say that, yeah, I could easily talk about that, but the thing is, the fact of the matter is that this robot, it was annoying because there was, it's like it's like I'm trying to pay attention to the movie, I'm trying to get sucked into the story, and it's talking about like droids' rights and stuff, and I'm like, this is not funny, this is annoying. And then right off, like the second, right after that robot's first line, Lando acknowledges it's fucking annoying. And I was like, wait, what's going on here? Are they making fun of a social justice warrior in Star Wars? Star Wars is being lampooned for all the fucking female roles and everything. And they have a female robot. And she's totally being treated like comic relief. And the best part about it is that, like, her being that kind of character actually leads into a plot point by accident that's actually really enjoyable and fun. And it's like it's in a funny spirit where it's like, oh, that bitch. And that's why it's like, it's great. It's actually really good. And there's a lot of moving parts here with the team, the crew. And the crew is like this dirty ragtag crew. And the funny thing is, like, at the end of the there's a lot of things I can't even talk about, but the climax of this movie is probably the best part, with the second best part probably being the parts where they're on Kessel before the Kessel Run, and then and then after that, the third best part is the a little bit after the intro. No, I'd probably say the intro is the best part. And then or third best part, sorry. The intro is probably third best part. The fourth best part is the train sequence that a lot of people thought was slow and boring, but I actually really like the characters in this moment. And that's something about this movie, is it's mostly all action, and it worked for me. And by the end of the movie, when you see Han Solo and Chewbacca, like, their relationship, and them in it going so well, like, yeah, it's great. And so, yeah, basically, I heard some major complaints about this movie that Han Solo doesn't act like Han Solo. Yeah, that's bullshit, in my opinion. I don't see what they're saying at all. I kind of think Han Solo is being like Han Solo here. Because Han Solo is he's a lot more complex and subtle than people realize. And sadly, this movie kind of magnifies that, because it's trying to put so much of an emphasis on him. Han Solo was always a side character, and something that people don't realize is that, like, so in episode 7 and 8, I compare Rey to Han Solo, because Han Solo just kind of appeared one day. We don't know much about his backstory, and we just know he's this badass guy who does badass shit. And that's kind of Rey. She just kind of appears one day. She's got badass chick, and now we're trying to learn more about her backstory because she's literally the main character, and that's why people are getting mad, because they're like, we want to know more about Rey. Instead, we know everything there is to know about Kylo Ren, and people are like, well, why are we learning more about Kylo Ren? Is it because he's a Skywalker, and these movies are about the Skywalkers, and so other people who aren't Skywalkers don't matter as much? Like, is Rey not the main character, or is she the main character? Because in episode 7, we all thought Finn was the main character till the movie actually came out. Then we realized we were all wrong, and because Finn was way more comparable to Luke was in episode 7. And then episode 8, Finn was kind of like pushed down. And he was supposed to be like what Han was doing in episode 5, but instead it came off more like he didn't matter at all. In fact, it came off more like Poe mattered more in episode 5 than Finn did, which was kind of a weird decision because Poe didn't even have that much screen time in episode 7. And I mean, I'm glad, I like Poe and all, but seems like Finn should have had a more important mission to do military wise, like instead of Poe. Not that Poe is bad, or Finn and Poe should have done a mission together or something. But yeah, either way, I'm going on a tangent about episode 8 here. But my point is that Solo is by no means my favorite Star Wars movie. By no means it's not my favorite Disney Star Wars movie. It's my favorite between Solo and Rogue One. I like Solo more. Solo and all of the prequels that aren't the main line, as in, sorry. If we're talking about every movie that takes place before Episode 4, Solo's probably my favorite. And I can say that easily because I know a lot of people really like Episode 3. But Episode 3's got some fucking glaring, groaning moments where I groan. It makes me groan, man. I can't stand it. And for some people, they can look past that. And for me, I can more easily look past these groaning moments in Solo. Solo's the kind of spin-off movie that I wanted Rogue One to be. Solo has heart. It's fun. It's got action. It makes me laugh. And it's got suspenseful moments. You know, and they did it all without a single fucking lightsaber, without the Force at all. They never even talked about the Force. Rogue One they fucking did, you know, and they did it all with only invoking one thing. The only things that they invoked from Star Wars lore that everyone fucking loves is Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Lando and the Millennium Falcon. And the reason why I say it all as one combined thing is because if you make a movie about Han Solo as the main character, then putting Chewbacca, Lando, and the Millennium Falcon in it makes sense. Of course they're going to do that. But making a movie, Rogue One instead was like, this is going to be a movie that has nothing to do with the things you like, except for it's going to be rebels fighting Empire. And so I was like, okay, I'm willing to be okay with that. And then they didn't do that at all. They still had this guy who thought he was a Jedi. They still had Darth Vader come in and kill everyone, which it was admittedly fucking badass. And they still had this, like, we're gonna be heroes. We gotta fight and do the right thing. And when it came to Han Solo, it's like, yeah, he was fighting to do the right thing. And I think some people get confused. In this movie, it comes off like Han Solo's trying to be the right person, do the right thing. But there's a reason behind that. And also, he's actually kind of being a little bit selfish because he's also trying to kill this guy who, there's a reason why he wants to kill this guy. I'll say that. And it's a good reason. So it's not exactly 100% that Han Solo is trying to be selfless, but it does come off that way. And I know that is a marketing decision because little kids will think he's trying to be a superhero. And me, I'll be like, I know what you're really doing, boy. And what he actually does is he may have just made an even bigger problem. And there's a lot of complex stuff going on at the end of the movie that I really thought was intriguing. And I'm not going to talk about spoilers. I'm not going to make a spoiler version of the review. It's just not going to happen. If you want to talk about the spoilers, talk about it with your friends and watch it with some of your friends. Because for me, personally, I think that this movie really is something that is worth going back, watching again, talking about it. I feel like it does a positive contribution to the Star Wars franchise. I don't think it's negative at all. Honestly, they're going to make these movies anyway. This is the best one, and this is the best case scenario. To me, this is like, I can't wait to see more of these now. After Rogue One, I was like, Solo's going to be even worse than this. And I was so sad. And then it clicked in my head one day. Like, hey, I like Donald Glover and Emilia Clarke and Woody Harrelson. I like all those guys. And I like Han Solo in the movies. And the thing about Rogue One was I hate all the characters. And they're not enjoyable at all. And they're terrible. And they're bland and one-dimensional. I want a movie where it's not like that. I want a movie where the characters are fun, and it has heart and love and compassion. That's what I like about Star Wars, man. I like the story of love against greed and stuff like that. I like good versus evil. And Rogue One is a story about like this fun dude, Han Solo, and this band of like people who don't exactly work too well together and who are all a bunch of bandits themselves, and they're all trying to make this work. And it's like that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. And they don't fight the Empire. They don't fight Boba Fett. They don't. No one with a lightsaber comes out and tries to fight Han Solo. Han Solo doesn't pull out a lightsaber himself. Han Solo doesn't like get a lightsaber. Han Solo doesn't meet Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's not in this fucking movie. It's cool. There is some meta humor. There is some stuff that you need to know Star Wars. This movie is better if you know Star Wars. And you should know Star Wars by now. So, I said this in the beginning. I'll say it again. If you like the Clone Wars, you'll probably like Solo. Solo is like a good Clone Wars episode. Solo is like a good Clone Wars like 2-parter or 3-parter. In my opinion, I can say that with complete sincerity. As someone who likes the Clone Wars, and it's like, so what? Han Solo has a love interest that's in the past. Like, yeah, Anakin had a Padawan named Ahsoka, and I'm okay with that. I accept that. I'm completely okay with that. Because you know what? The prequels already ruined this whole thing anyway. And if we can put some fun pieces of life in here, because we already know what happens before 3. We already know what happens after 3 and before 4. Okay, we already know this stuff, guys. So there's no reason to be groaning anymore. The only reasons you should be groaning is that some of the dialogue is bad. Some of the dialogue will make you fucking groan, okay? I get it. There's gonna be some groaning moments. There's gonna be some growing pains with this movie where you're gonna go, ugh. But I promise you, you just look past it, you'll enjoy it a lot. It's a very enjoyable movie. It's just like weird. They have small, weird, boneheaded decisions. But when I say look past the bad parts, I don't mean look past all the flaws with the movie. I'm just saying that there's flaws in the movie. It's not perfect, but I still like it. It's still pretty good, and it's not bad. It's not Disney should lose stock in Star Wars bad. Okay? If anything, that should have happened after 8 only because of the fan reaction. I still like 8. But for some reason, the fans just made it a meme. And the thing is, like, no, I can point why it's good. I can point why things make sense. I can point out, different things with Episode 8. I can point out that most people who are complaining are just mad because of their headcanon. And with Solo, it seems that way again. People are just mostly mad because of their headcanon. And people are just put off because they don't want prequels. And I'm telling you guys, man, this is not Star Wars Episode 2, Episode 1 prequel bad. Okay? This is Star Wars Clone Wars level of movie. Okay? This is Star Wars Clone Wars, man. This is the good stuff. This is the good kind of thing you want. These are the kind of prequels that I'm like, I accept this. Do I say this is canon, and do people who have to watch this if they want to know Star Wars? No. If you want to watch Star Wars, watch the originals. And if you don't want to watch old movies, just watch 7 and then watch 8. And then if you really like it, go back and watch the originals. And what I would say is, if you like 7, you like the originals, then watch Solo. Solo's made if you've seen everything up to this point. Solo's not made for people who haven't seen anything else. And it's also not something you have to watch. If you watch Star Wars and you think it's okay, you're like, that was kind of enjoyable. I watched 5 and 6. Those were pretty good. But I'm done now. I'm Star Wars now. That was it. It's like, good. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to watch Solo. You really don't. It doesn't add anything. It's really there for people who just love Star Wars. So, if you call yourself a Star Wars fan, and you want to boycott Solo, do it. Whatever, dude. Go ahead. I don't care. But what I'm saying is that I am a Star Wars fan. I've seen them all, and I thought I was going to hate this movie, and I came out of it thinking I actually kind of enjoyed it a little bit. You know, I enjoyed it a lot of bit. And so, what's my review? I do believe in numbered scores. Rip Total Biscuit. You will be missed, Total Biscuit, but I'm sorry. I disagree. I actually do believe in numbered scores, but only in this format where it comes at the end of a video. I don't believe in it as IGN and Kotaku doing it. Well, Kotaku doesn't do it, but I don't believe in like IGN and GameSpot doing it because people just scroll down, and look at the number, and it's fucking stupid. But I will give a number at this point. If you have never seen a Star Wars movie, this movie's probably a 5 out of 10. You can probably follow it, and you might enjoy it, but stuff's going to go over your head, and some of the more long-winded scenes are probably going to be extra boring because you don't care about the universe. If you have seen the Star Wars movies, and you are a Star Wars fan, which this movie's made for you, I would say it's a 7 out of 10. And so maybe the true score would be a 6 out of 10. But I would say that this movie is a 7 out of 10. The reason why I'm talking so enthusiastically about it, so excited about it, is because movies that are way worse do better than this. And this movie's getting shit on. It doesn't deserve to be shit on this hard. Okay? It's a fine movie. The movie's pretty good. And because I'm a Star Wars fan, I enjoyed it. Okay? I enjoyed it. 7 out of 10. So yeah, I think it was pretty damn good, and I want people to go out and watch it. I don't want Disney to think that we don't want this. And the thing is, if you guys knew the ending and you knew how they were setting up the cinematic universe for Star Wars movies, and if that gets canceled because this movie starts doing badly, well, then it's going to go down in history as like the stupid masses ruined it for the true fans. The stupid masses who ruined it. And people are going to say, oh man, how come they never made this movie? That would have sold. That would have done really well. All you had to do is do this movie and it would have been fine. It's like they were planning that. They're planning something big. You know those movies that we all talk about? I mean it. I mean it. Ewan McGregor coming back as Obi-Wan? Oh, it's not confirmed. It's not confirmed yet. Oh, baby. It's not confirmed yet. This other characters from the prequels and other characters from other Star Wars movies appearing possibly in the Boba Fett movie. In the Boba Fett movie being directed by the director of Logan, meaning it might actually be gritty and kind of like one-on-one gunfight standoffish and not just big space explosion fest. You know, we might see a movie about someone who's actually hunting down someone and killing them. Has nothing to do with good versus evil. This is what you guys want? Is this what you guys want? This is what we've all been wanting. Oh my god, we're in year 4 of this Disney Star Wars project, and you guys are losing your damn minds because of episode 8. Guys, we are about to get to the Motherlode. We're about to get to the Star Wars movies we've been dreaming about. It's right fucking there. We're so fucking close. Jesus Christ. This is not a fucking drill, guys. Okay? The Obi-Wan movie is probably going to happen. And the end of Han Solo kind of sets it up in a weird way. And Obi-Wan's not in the movie. Okay? And when I say that Obi-Wan movie is sort of being set up, and there's no lightsaber fights, and there's no Force bullshit, and Obi-Wan himself is not even in the movie, and I'm telling you that this movie it's getting to it. We're getting there. It's building to it. Guys, the Marvel movies weren't that good when they first came out. Iron Man 2 was a pretty big stinker. Thor 1 was pretty bad. Captain America 1 was okay. Guys, but then Avengers happened, okay? Guys, I don't know if it'll be Avengers level, but after Episode 9 comes out, because Episode 9 is what's next, then the main trilogy will be done. We won't see Rey anymore. We won't see Kylo anymore, okay? they're gonna have to start doing bigger fucking movies. Okay, Boba Fett is probably next, and that's good. That could be a potentially a very big deal. That could potentially be a huge fucking deal. But what comes out after Boba Fett could possibly be the best thing ever. It could possibly be something that makes me fucking shed a tear. And if they want to do Boba Fett and then a character after that, because they've been doing kind of like main story and then non Jedi stories, main story, non Jedi story. If they want to go back doing a Jedi story and throw Obi-Wan in there, do Obi-Wan story, oh my god, guys, let this happen, please. Just please let this happen, okay? Uh, there's a lot to be excited for, a lot to be happy about. It all kind of starts with this movie, and I think Solo is going to be the snug fit that the fans will come back to and realize was good this whole time. Because this is how it always happens, okay? This is what always happens. There's the stupid masses at first, then over time, people kind of change their opinions on things, especially when other movies come out, and other movies are worse. You know, and I think, I don't know why, but when Rogue One first came out, people were like, this was better than Episode 7, this is better than Episode 7. You fucking clods. You fucking retards. No, Rogue One was bad. We need to move away from Rogue One. And Solo was exactly the direction we needed to move into. Okay? You guys gotta, like, the stupid masters will always say bullshit when things first come out. You have to look through the bullshit. And you have to try not to become too contrarian in the process. And you have to look for the good stuff on your own, because no one's going to help you. Never listen to the stupid masses, guys. Make your own opinions. I made my own opinion because I said I already knew this movie was something I didn't want and something I knew would fuck up the franchise. But then I let go of my hatred for the prequels, and I let go of all of that and said, what if this is a good prequel movie? What if it could happen? You know, I didn't have much faith in Rogue One. It was pretty much as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I walked into this one. And I have watched Rogue One again. Because it's on Netflix. And when I watched it again, I realized it was still as bad as I thought. And some of my friends who actually said it was better than Episode 7 agreed it's not. They agreed that not only is it not better than Episode 7, but it's actually really boring. And there's not much going on with the characters. You know, and I think that they were just kind of excited to see Star Wars be such a war movie again. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. A war movie with Star Wars, that was something that should have happened. But the action scenes are great. And sadly, that's, to me, I would, even though I really appreciate a lot of the great action scenes in Rogue One, the fact that Solo has characters and heart, I really enjoy that movie. So, it's not Guardians of the Galaxy good, you know, but Guardians of the Galaxy is a movie you could show someone and say, hey, get into Marvel because of this. Rogue One, or not Rogue One, Solo is a movie where you could say, hey, did you like Star Wars? Okay, let's watch this now. This is pretty good too. That's what you do, okay? So, you know, it's not trying to be, and that's the thing. I didn't go into this thinking it was going to be the best Star Wars movie. I went into it thinking, will it be a good Star Wars movie? I think it was. 7 out of 10, in my opinion, is good. And I mean, the reason why it's low and not low, 7 is not a low number, but people consider 7 a low number because they went 8, 9, and 10. And I can't give an 8 or a 9 or a 10. I can give episode 7 a 10 out of 10. I can give episode 8 an 8 out of 10. I can give episode, 4 and 5, I'd probably give both 10 out of 10s. And in episode 6, I'd probably give an 8 out of 10. So when it comes to a 9 out of 10 for a Star Wars movie, trying to think of one. I can't think of one right now. Because, yeah, it's not like there was one glaring issue that held it back from being perfect. Solo has a few issues that hold it back from being perfect. There's a few things in there that I really disagree with, and the butchering of the Kessel Run is one of those things. It's just, for me, I don't shit in my underwear whenever I see something I used to be beloved get kind of tampered with a little bit. And it really was just the Kessel Run. I don't even care about the Kessel Run. The only reason I didn't want the Kessel Run in the movies is because I didn't fucking care about it. And they put it in the movie, and it was boring. But luckily, I cared about the characters a lot more than I thought I was going to. I actually really liked almost all of them. I really liked every character, even L3, which made me groan at first. I started liking her because she was kind of played for comic relief, and it also, she had a purpose in the movie that kind of made her redeem herself for me. Even though it was indirectly, I appreciated that. So, all I'm saying, guys, Solo's not as bad as people are saying it is. People haven't even watched it and they're saying it's bad. People who haven't even watched it said Donald Glover did a bad performance. It's like, shut up. People who didn't even watch it are saying the character for Han Solo is not believable as Han Solo. He is not perfect, but it's a hard role. And the funny thing is that while he is annoying at some points, they can kind of get away with it because this is supposed to be a very young and naive Han Solo. This is very different from the Han Solo. It's not very different. I can't even say that. This Han Solo is believable as Han Solo, but it's a very gun-ho Han Solo. This is what Han Solo was like when he was Luke's age. That's really what this movie is, and that's why he's the main character, because he's Luke's age in this one. And that's what's so funny about it, is he is acting kind of differently. He's acting naive and gun-ho. But he's still Han Solo. He's still got the swagger. He's still pretty badass. And the funny thing was that he was probably my favorite character in the movie. I liked him more than Lando. And people were all saying, Lando, Lando, Lando. Lando, Lando, Lando. No. No. I enjoyed him. Okay? I enjoyed him a lot. I enjoyed him more than Lando. However, his interactions with Lando were really good. Him interacting with Chewbacca was really good. I love those scenes so much. So, yeah, at the end of it, fucking good movie. I really, fucking, it was good. And I can't wait for more of these. And someday I'm gonna rewatch only like the extended universe shit, where it's like I'm gonna watch these movies where it's like Solo, then Boba Fett, and then these other movies, and they're all using stuff from the prequels and like before episode 4. They're all using stuff from like the beginning of episode 4 characters and the end of episode 3 characters. That's what they're all doing right now. And there's stuff from the Clone Wars in it, and it's like they're doing all this cool shit right now with these movies that is only cool if you watch Clone Wars and you're a fucking huge nerd. And I can't believe they're of course they're gonna do bad in the box office. This is not something you want to do if you're Disney. I can't believe these are actually being made into movies, and I'm gonna keep paying for them because you guys are saying like this is cancer, we can't have this at all. I don't care. I will pay for these. I want to see these. This is exactly. I'm surprised anyone sees these. These are not movies. These are movies for fucking big nerds. And a lot of my friends who like Star Wars, I can't even get them to watch Clone Wars. It's like they like Star Wars, but it's like I try to explain like this happens in Clone Wars. Isn't that cool? And like that does sound cool. Then they don't fucking watch it. They're not gonna go watch Clone Wars, But I watched the whole thing. And I watched Rebels, and I didn't even like Rebels, and I watched it. So take it from me. Take it from a guy who watches Star Wars content he doesn't even like, including the prequels. This movie is not bad. You can't even say it's bad. You probably watch bad movies, and I would love to hear you try to explain to me why this movie you think is really bad is good, and I will just laugh in your face. This movie's better than that bad movie, okay? Especially because a lot of the stupid masses who hate these Star Wars movies, these people probably aren't very different from the stupid masses who keep defending the DC movies. Keep saying the DC movies are really good, and that Rotten Tomatoes is being paid off to hate them or whatever. Or that everyone is just a fucking Marvel fanboy. Whatever. Just shut up. No. So that's what I gotta say. 7 out of 10. And I really mean it, because that 5 out of 10 score doesn't even exist because you shouldn't even watch it. So I'll check you guys out later. New characters in Dragon Ball Z tomorrow. I was going to talk about some stuff, but you can already see footage of it. And also, it's literally about to come out in a few hours, basically. So, um, yeah, we'll check it all out. I will probably do a video on. I still want to do a full review for Dragon Ball, the fighters. I want to review fighters. I also want to talk more about the mobile games I've been playing, including Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle, and I will get to that. So, catch you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this review.